Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Los Angeles, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. We have a special guest right off at this top. One of my favorite politicians. That sounds funny to say, right? Have a favorite politician? I like him because he was such a threat to the Democratic Party and the establishment that they gerrymandered him right out of Congress. I'm talking of the one and the only Dennis Kucinich, former Democratic Congressman from Ohio and a two-time candidate for president. In 1977, he became Cleveland's youngest mayor at the age of 31. In 2008, as a presidential candidate, he ran on a platform of supporting single-payer health care, impeaching Vice President Dick Cheney, and the establishment of a Department of Peace. He is currently running for Congress as an independent in Ohio's 7th House District, where he received the endorsement of the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Please welcome back to the show, Peace candidate Dennis Kucinich. How are you doing, Mr. Kucinich?
Jimmy, great. Wonderful to be with you and your audience. And anytime I'm with you, I'm interested in the discussion. So let's go for it.
So tell me, what is the big issue you're running on?
Well, it really is peace. And let me break it down. First of all, we have to stop these endless wars. America has absolutely gone in the wrong direction. Since 9/11, we've spent over $8 trillion on wars that we didn't have to fight based on lies, and at the sacrifice of the quality of life of the American people. We now have a $36 trillion deficit, $8 trillion of it due to wars. And the wars that we're prosecuting right now are just advancing the slaughter of innocents. And no end game can be described that makes any sense. Whether you're talking about the war in Ukraine, where so many of the people of Ukraine, the brave people of Ukraine, have just been killed because our State Department had a different agenda and has some crazy idea they're going to take over Russia. We can't even afford to take care of our own people. And then there's the war in the Middle East, where we are subsidizing the genocide of the Palestinians and the wreckage in Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon now, and the $500 million we sent over to Taiwan as the initial payment on going after China. I mean, this is all madness, and it has to be called out. And when I return to Congress, I will be the voice, not just of peace, but of diplomacy, of taking this country in a direction where we start recognizing that the needs at home aren't being met. I mean, there's so many people having trouble making ends meet, Jimmy. I'm sure you run into it all the time. People are having trouble paying their monthly mortgages, their rent, utilities, their medical bills, and sending their kids to school and covering those costs. What are we talking about here in America? We're going abroad looking for dragons to slay while we're not taking care of things at home. Yes, I am a peace candidate. And yes, when elected, and people can go to Kucinich.com to help us right now. When elected, I will be the voice to stand up and speak out against this war machine, against the military-industrial complex, and for the American people.
So what do you say to people? Now, I know a lot of people here, I'm in Hollywood, that they're going to vote Democrat because although the Democrats are currently funding a genocide and slaughtering children, women, elderly, they say Trump is going to deport immigrants who are here. So apparently it seems like they're doing some kind of moral gymnastics by somehow they're putting up, they're prioritizing deportations of immigrants over the slaughter of an entire Palestine-Gaza genocide. It seems to be, is that mental gymnastics that they're doing?
Well, you know, what they're doing is, you know, you have to understand a partisan mindset. And this relates to Republicans as well. There's compartmentalization that goes on with that, compartmentalization of thinking. You can only look at certain facts and you can't look at others. It's one of the reasons why I'm running as an independent, because I can look at everything. I can look at the full terrain. I can look at what the Republicans are doing that might not be right. What the Democrats are doing might not be right. And what's not right at this moment is the Democratic Party is advancing war across the globe. And that is not in the interest of the American people. When I saw what the Democrats in Congress were doing earlier this year, when a few members stood up and they said, hey, maybe we should take a different direction and try diplomacy with Russia, and they were squashed. I just said, wait, what is wrong with this party? Why do they want war? I think we're going to have to look at the campaign finance reports and see all the money that's coming from these contractors who have to be pouring money into both political parties to keep wars going because they're making money out of it. I mean, it's a racket. You know, Smedley Butler said it years ago. I'll say it today. War's a racket. And the reason why partisans look at it is that, look, interest groups want control of Congress. Is it about the American people? Hell no. It's about controlling things so you can make a lot of money. Meanwhile, the American people are just bereft of the attention of their government. You can't even get the kind of decent response that they deserve in North Carolina to a hurricane. People are still waiting for help. What a country we have that you can't take care of your own, but you want to use the checkbook or the credit card to take care of things all around the world. We need some help here in America, and where it starts is in the Congress. And, you know, I can go back to defending the Constitution, stopping government spying, stopping the militarization of our civilian law enforcement process, which is absolutely underway. We're losing our country to lies and to interest groups that don't care about America. They just care about their making money.
So what's interesting to me, one of the things that's interesting to me about your candidacy and your race is that a lot of your positions used to be hardcore Democratic positions, which are now considered right-wing. For instance, you want a sane border policy. You say you have to, which the Democrats used to talk about all the time, and now they don't. Now we've had an open border policy for the last 3.5 years, and Kamala Harris talks about not shutting it down, but now she's talking about a path to citizenship for the people that they let in. So you also, talk about freedom of speech and the First Amendment and anti-censorship. There used to be hardcore lefty ideas. They're now considered right-wing ideas, but you've stayed, like I have, you've stayed the same as the Democratic Party has lost their mind. And so now a lot of what you're advocating for is actually appealing to people who are center-right because it's sane, right? Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that 100%. And I mean, my approach is common sense. Now, one of the problems with partisanship is that people just buy a whole line, hook, line, and sinker. I don't do that. You cited, that's what I stood for then, and I stand for it now. I stand for peace. I stand for diplomacy. I've always stood for a sensible border policy. And what we're doing now here is we just open the gates, let anybody in. There was a Congressman, Gonzalez, who got a letter almost a month ago from Homeland Security in which he learned how many people were actually coming across the border who had criminal backgrounds. Now, why shouldn't we as Americans be concerned about that? Why shouldn't we as Americans want to make sure our borders are secure? We can't go to any other country without checking in. Why are people able to do that in America? Who are the people coming in? Why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars in expenses to take care of people who come, over the period of time to take care of people who come across the border? We're not taking care of our own people here at home. I mean, none of this stuff makes sense. And the thing that I learned about, long ago, Jimmy, when I got into politics, if something doesn't make sense, question it. And it's not just about questioning authority. It's about, if it doesn't make sense, ask questions, because generally behind that are decision makers who are either crooked or stupid or both.
And you're running as an independent. Why are you running as an independent?
Well, if I'm going to run inside a party, I'm going to have to wear the jersey, and I can't play for that team right now because they stand for things I don't believe in. I don't believe in these forever wars. I don't believe that we can keep expanding a a federal deficit endlessly without having real consequences affecting us here at home. And both of those affect our basic freedoms here at home. I don't believe that we can have our borders open endlessly. And what's happening if you don't have borders, you don't have a country. So we have to look at the kind of thinking that's taken us to this place. So yes, I'm running as an independent because I can work with everyone. I don't. With me, it's not this or that. It's like, well, let's take a look at the whole question and look at it regardless of partisanship. There's a point at which if we don't put country above party, we're going to lose our country. The partisanship is often a punch and Judy brickbat game, which devolves into people in the back room just cutting up a bundle of money. I mean, this thing has gotten so corrupt, and I think that is what is underneath all of the concerns that Americans have right now. Our government has become so corrupt that it's lost touch with the needs of the American people. And I'm the one that can go back to Congress and challenge it every single day, as I did when we started to move towards war with Iraq. Jimmy, if any of the viewers would look at, just type in a search engine, Kucinich Iraq analysis, October 2nd, 2002, they'll see long before we started dropping bombs on Baghdad, I knew exactly what was going on. And you don't have to be a genius to know what's going on. You just have to be not bought out. You have to have common sense. You have to have a willingness to serve the people first instead of a party or some interest group, because parties are interest groups or a collection of interest groups. And as an independent, when I return to Congress, I'll be able to represent the American people and help those who are in both parties who are struggling with this compartmentalized thinking to show them a path out of it, to show them a path where we can come together for our country, not for some interest groups that are pretending to care, because they don't care.
And so your commitment to the First Amendment and anti-censorship, how deep does it go?
It goes this deep. It says that right now, all of our Constitution is at risk. Our First Amendment rights are being abridged. We're, at college campuses, which used to be the hotbed, the percolation of power in the street to get people out and protest, they've been shut down. First Amendment rights have been abridged. Kids face getting kicked out of college if they go and protest what's happening in the Middle East. How did that happen? I mean, the reason why Lyndon Johnson left office in 1968 is because of campus protests about the Vietnam War. So it's not just that. You have things like this recent military directive, which gives the Pentagon ever more power to reach into civilian life, where they can come in and be involved in local law enforcement. That's against not just posse comitatus, which was supposed to separate the military from local police activities, but it's also against the whole spirit of our republic, which is, no militarization of domestic policy. And so, because when that happens, we lose our freedoms. When we spend $1 trillion a year, by the way, most, for the military, for intelligence and things like that, that's at the cost of our freedom here at home, because we're not able to take care of things here at home. When we have these intelligence agencies who are working now with the military to try to shut down dissent in America, they try to shut down the internet, certain internet companies. They try to shut down people who want to have a diversity of opinion on the web. We better pay attention.
Max Miller is the scariest congressman. He's attacked Christianity. He's for genocide.
They're not a state, they're a territory that's about to probably get eviscerated and go away here shortly, as we're going to turn that into a parking lot.
He's for endless war. He lied about his military service record. He's for the automatic draft registration of your children. He's raised the debt ceiling to $35 trillion. He was the deciding vote for government to spy on Americans. Court documents say he's a drug abuser. He has an arrest record. He hits women, and he even threw a woman down the stairs. Beware. Beware of Max Miller, the scariest congressman.
This is Dennis Kucinich, and I approve this ad.
Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Los Angeles, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.